Sweet Oh-Rai, I'm surrounded by your
So,
light.
with the constellation of Orion and in the Sunbeam Universe where he's the creator, there's this idea of rebirth and there's this idea of destruction and danger and ending, but of also of beginning. And so, within each song, there are multiple paths and multiple prophecies that I'm trying to create for myself and for the characters in the story.
Blast off, blast off, blast off, blast off, blast.
So I guess we could start with Sunbeam Fortunata as the first song that I'm going to talk about. And if anybody listens to anything on the album, that's the song that I would recommend that you listen to, because as I've described before, it's really a full movie in that 6 minutes. You get to see all of the extremes, and you get to see the purest encapsulation of the story that I think I've been able to put into song. So the origin of that song really was hearing this electronic song again, just like the first Captain Sunbeam song. I heard this electronic song and I came up with, "This is Captain Sunbeam speaking to you from the back of a shooting star." This one, I heard another one of Conor's electronic songs called "Last Time." And he says, "Please don't let this be," or no, it's, "Please don't make this our last ride." And with the implication being in the Love Star. That's how I at least heard it. And so that's where the song got birthed from. "Please don't let this be our last ride." Which that became the chorus. Before I got to the chorus, I wrote this pre-chorus where it was like, "Hold my hand and watch me burn for the gift of a king. Face down in the mud to carry this universe. I won't feel a thing."
Hold my hand and watch me burn for the gift of a king. Face down in the mud to carry this universe. No, I won't feel a thing. Hold my...
Face down in the mud. Yeah, face down in the mud to carry this universe. Won't feel a thing. Hold my hand, and then and now I'm facing the end. Oh, Captain Sunbeam, I hear it again. Ow.
So I think all the struggles and difficulties now even that he faces day to day with mobility, chronic illness and everything like that, that stemmed from everything he's gone through, the music really serves as his tool for him to kind of explain that or have another way of showing that or escape it.
Hold my hand and watch me burn for the gift of a king. Face down in the mud to carry this universe. No, I won't feel a thing.
So those lines were extremely potent to me. Hold my hand and watch me burn, you know. Maybe someone just be there with me while all this is happening, while this destruction is happening. For the gift of a king, I imagined the compass of Ra. Face down in the mud. To me, that's like fate. Think about that. You're face down in the mud. You're face down. You can't get lower. You can't get more destroyed than that. Face down in the mud to carry this universe. I won't feel a thing. Obviously, it's good to feel things, but sometimes it's not. So sometimes it gets in the way.
So that's kind of how I see the album as a whole, as this culmination of all these things, and listen to all the different iterations. And honestly, the album, listening to the songs, see, that's my opinion, is very emotional for me. It's very moving. It just has so much of him and everything, and I feel it really deeply.
You know, and I think to carry this universe, I really was talking about, in some ways, the band, in some ways, you know, the Captain Sunbeam Universe. At the time, Connor was working on the book, but he was also really struggling with some things, and so it really felt like it was all on me to keep this whole ship going. You know, even though he's still working on it, he's still developing this amazing story.
Sunbeam Fortunata really kind of resonates with me in terms of certain parts of the story that I won't share.
And then we get into the chorus. So, hail to the anointed Sunbeam Fortunata. Please don't let this be our last ride.
Let this be our last ride. And it's hail to the anointed Sunbeam Fortunata.
So the word Fortunata actually refers to Captain Sunbeam's real first name. He's kind of a split personality, and so the Fortunata is the side, is like, we'll say, the normal, or the side before stuff happens. And it's kind of calling you back to your true self. Hail to the anointed Sunbeam, to say you're anointed, that you were meant to do this. This is me reminding myself that I'm meant to make this album, because in the day-to-day, it gets really cloudy and you don't know why you're doing things, and you don't know if it's worth it. Like if it's worth the money, or if it's worth the time or the anguish spent. And so it's reminding me that you are anointed. You have to believe you're anointed, you know? And please don't let this be our last ride. So again, that's multi-layered for me. That's talking about my life. It's talking about my own illness and not wanting it to be the last ride, you know, and also, you know, to the story, you know, like Sunbeam and Julian not wanting to be the last time they're going to be able to ride in the Love Star together, and then I'm going to be able to ride in the Love Star together with Connor, and wondering if he's ever going to come back to the band.
Connor, you look good with that one, man. You look good with the electric.
Or if he's ever gonna be able to make it through what he's going through, or we're able to make it through. And so the next part goes, the weight of the compass won't bury me. Collude with the powers that force me to see. So that's reminding myself, even though the compass is heavy, it's not going to bury me. It's not going to bury me in the ground, or it's not going to bury me with everything. And collude with the powers. So try to work with those sometimes dark forces, to let them push you and inspire you in certain ways. I'm a big believer in that. Okay, and then the second section of that song, as long as there is light, I will shine. So that's just a quote I like ran across on the internet or something, and I was like, it really meant something to me.
And as long as there's light, I will shine.
I had actually originally had it in a different song. As long as there's light, I will shine. Shine to the highest height in the darkest night. And then something else was going to come in a different song. And I was like, no, we got to make this Sunbeam. And the song's already like 4 minutes long at this point, but I'm like, all right, well, what's going to be the finale?
Shine to the highest height in the darkest night.
and we will blast off. And then I was like, okay. Then I knew the rest of the path for the rest of the song.
And we will blast off. And we will blast off. And we will blast off. And we will blast off.
Please don't let this be our last ride. It would make sense that you blast off. So we're gonna blast off, and we're gonna make this whole built-up section. It's gonna rise, and you're gonna be able to feel it. We're gonna have freaking, you know, engine noises. We're gonna have the analog synth we ended up using. It's really this defining moment of the album, and this defining moment for Sunbeam and Julian, and hopefully for myself, and everything's blasting off. And then there's a little end. Oh, Captain Sunbeam, I wanted to be. So it's whenever I go, oh, Captain Sunbeam, I'm doing an ode back to the first song, right? And then it ends on, the whole world is waiting for you and I to capture the afterlove, which is then the next song, which is maybe I'll go into next.
That last little da 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 is really pretty awesome.
So I guess So Evil, that was written like 6 or 7 years ago. So that was written right around the time the first album was released. And that's really just like a split screen. I think it was influenced by a couple of my friendships and relationships at the time. I don't know, maybe me being sick and things, maybe I'm not able to do as much as I used to, but, you know, this idea of like, you're so evil, but I love you anyways, this kind of playful banter. And it really does mirror Julian and the Captain's relationship at certain points, because the Captain is this enigmatic, you know, I wouldn't say he's purely evil, but he's like, he's not all good, not all bad, and like, you know, Julian is a little more pure of heart, so they're kind of, they're at odds.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Joe, describe So Evil in one word.
Thunderous.
Matt, describe So Evil in one word.
Ow.
My favorite part of that song is the end, where it goes,
Sunbeam, I can't stand you anymore. Won't you believe me? I promise I won't give you up or let you down.
I won't give you up or let you down. So it's like, I can't stand you, but I'm still gonna do anything for you. I'm still like your loyal servant. And then Sunbeam, my love, I'll be waiting for you in the morning. So I'm ultimately devoted.
Sunbeam, my love. I'll be waiting for you in the morning.
And then this super high part I sing, which is, on a good day I can hit it. Far beyond, this isn't how high it's on the album, but far beyond the sunset, I can hear that whistle blow.
Far beyond the sunset, I can hear that whistle blow. Captain
And that was like coming to me from like a different dimension. Basically, you hear that whistle and you wake up in the morning and something's calling you from a different world. You know, Captain, if you can hear me, I just wanted you to know.
Good night, my darling. I long to see your face.
Oh, okay. Luther Divine. Well, you know, Luther is, I know we're talking about that dynamic between, like, spirituality and science. Luther is a scientist.
Kickstarting it. Vroom, vroom. All right, here we go, some turbulence.
He was part of, you know, the movement of investigating the life sun and its demise through a scientific lens. But I think Malachy, you know, sings in Luther Divine.
You give me the courage, and you bring the horizon.
You give me the courage. I'm gonna poorly quote it.
Ah, fuck. And you bring the horizon.
You give me the courage. You bring the horizon.
Oh, you give me the courage, and you bring the horizon.
And I think part of that is like Luther is kind of the way I interpret it is like Luther kind of represents a certain stability.
Well, you know, I came in the studio knowing exactly what I wanted to do on bass, bringing energy, make sure everybody felt the same way coming in. I really thought that, like, when we'd be in the practice room talking about recording these songs, you know, you gotta bring in positivity, you've gotta bring in like motivation, and you've gotta get people excited.
Damn straight we're getting Luther today. Of course we're getting Luther today.
I can't speak for Malachy entirely for why he wrote that song or what it's about, but what I get from it is like Luther could be a figure that's like that's stable. You give me the courage. It's like someone who shows up every day and brings stability to every day can give you the strength and support to kind of do what you need to do.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Oh yeah. I was feeling it. I was feeling the magic on that one.
But when I wrote it originally, I kind of was thinking of it more as a love song. You know, good night, my darling, I long to see your face. So, you know, I'm not sure if Luther has a love interest, but maybe it's this. But I've been appointed to save your world from this fate. And there's definitely also some connection in there to my partner, Nicole, and sort of everything that she has given me over these past, you know, years that I've been sick and even before that. So, you know, Connor spoke about how Luther is this stable presence. I think Nicole really is a very stable presence, and she has allowed me to do what I need to do to sort of survive. And it hasn't all been easy, but, you know, I think that when I wrote this song, she did give me the courage in many ways.
To start, I'm just going to introduce myself. My name's Nicole. I'm Malachy's girlfriend of almost 9 years now, so I've really been here from the beginning of Captain Sunbeam and all the iterations before that, even before there was this concept of Captain Sunbeam. So it's been definitely a journey that we've been on doing all this, and to see the progress that Malachy's made. Nope. And it's interesting doing this interview because I didn't think it was going to be so hard to talk about just the music or even like the story, but it does bring up a lot of feelings. And I think that's probably why I have such emotional reaction to the songs. Like, some of my favorites off the album are Oh-Rai and Oh-Rai or Sweet Oh-Rai. We basically for Sweet Oh-Rai sang together on this briefly on the album. So that was sweet to have that there with Luther Divine. It's always been my favorite. I like to think it's about me. What song do you think speaks to you the most out of this new album?
What song? Well, what speaks to me, or what's my? I mean, the song "Oh-Rai" is my favorite. Ever since I first heard Malachy play it live, I just knew like the song's amazing.
Oh-Rai, send me a song from the outer. I was born to be your only one, the chosen one who walks by your side.
For Oh-Rai, the song, I think that is a very different sounding song. It's kind of lighter, and I see that as a worship song. I see that as, this so very mystical, you're at night drinking the nectar, which is the energetic source in the Sunbeam Universe, and you're sort of lifting your head up and you're praying to Orion, the creator. So this idea of send me a song, I need, as a songwriter, I just want a song, I want a good song. I was born to be your only one, your disciple. And I always pictured this song as like cosmic campfire energy to it. So you're in the cosmos, but you're maybe on a wooded planet, maybe you're on the planet of Elyria, and you're sort of gazing up at the stars, and this is a gentle campfire lullaby that you're sort of singing as a praise song to Orion. This is also directed towards Conor as well. If when Conor watches this, he might not know, but born to be your only one, the chosen one who walks by your side. Almost trying to, I think, convince Conor that I was good enough to be in this with him in some ways, and wanting to do more for him, to help him. When the second chorus, when it comes, I was born to be your mercenary and open every door.
Yeah! Woo!
Yeah, I just had such an emotional reaction the other day listening to Oh-Rai, and it just, I don't know, it's hard to not get emotional when listening to this music, knowing Malachy and the passion into these songs. So yeah, it's just surprising to me that I can still feel that deeply.
What I want to do is I want to break your parts up into different sounds and different lanes.
Yes. Kind of after high school, I had to move away for college and work, and all of that stuff brought me back to Boston. And a few months into moving back to Boston, Malachy said that they were looking for another lead guitarist. And this whole time I've been following the band and loved the music, already knew all the songs and all the words to all the songs. So yeah, it was a really cool way to kind of jump back into things and get that kind of like creative back and forth.
So what do you think of the album and being part of that process? What did that mean to you, or how was it really?
Recording the album was a ton of fun. Very cool to be in the studio and try to make the most of the equipment that we had there. Writing the album, I think, was really special because some of the songs were, or some of the parts that I played were already written, and I'd either play them the same or change them a little bit. And other songs we completely wrote on our own, so it was kind of cool to see the contrast in what other people envisioned for the songs versus what I had played. I think the Songs of Orion represent growth and trust and perseverance. I think it's kind of about moving forward with faith in other people and knowing that they'll have your back.
Oh, that's so sweet.
And I would say also Fields of Orion, it's not my first favorite, but it's become one of my favorites. I think it's really just a beautiful song.
So I guess I can talk about Fields of Orion, which is kind of a unique song on the album. It actually never has any parts that repeat throughout the whole song, so it's all just kind of continually evolving. It's kind of has this clean guitar and it's kind of proggy.
Sort of like it's isolated, and I'm like, did he mean to do something with that?
See, that's how you know I wrote it all at one time, because it was.
Yeah,
I wrote it and the
right.
song flowed.
Yeah.
When I wrote it, like I feel like even though the parts don't repeat, each part is meant to be after it.
Yeah. No,
like for a couple years there, I was struggling with like, I had a bunch of good parts but couldn't link them together.
Yep.
Because it was always like for the first album, it was always my brother who would like link them together.
Yep.
But then, yeah.
No. I know. And like, what is the linking together? It's not like some people do it with the greater goal of like, I have to end this phrase coming back to the prior phase, right? And that loop doesn't necessarily have to exist, right?
Absolutely.
What's important is that it flows and it goes forward and that it ends.
Is there a Fields of Orion?
Well,
Our place?
in the story, there's a thing called the Viridian Fields, which are the fields of, they're kind of like the Northern Lights, but it's a field of green, like glowing green stardust that is formed around the atmosphere of the planet Elyria, and it's protective of the planet. And Orion is the creator of the galaxy, so so he created those fields, I think, technically. So the Fields of Orion could mean that, but I'm not sure that they do.
It's not as connected to the story in a character sense, but it's more in a spiritual sense, like Connor has been saying, I think.
Not that I would recommend you change lyrics in other spots for that song ever, but like if we could toss a couple more agains. I don't know. Or maybe like if we do tack harmonies in there, like we focus on the word again in the existing spots or something like that, which I thought was just interesting.
Because nothing repeats except the word again.
Yeah, which is very funny, yeah.
That's good.
I literally heard the word again, and it's separated out.
Can't you see
again?
And
then you do it again in the following phrase, but then you also do it in the following verse.
Armageddon. That's kind of again.
Well, not that.
And then open my eyes
again.
Again.
That's the one. Yeah.
Why can't you see again? And then these agains keep repeating again and again and again. And then there's this part at the end of it. Come and catch the carry-on.
Come and catch the carry-on. Goodbye.
I'm not really sure what all the imagery means fully, but I just know that it's creating this darkness at the beginning, and then it's building up, and the screws are tightening, and it feels bleak. Actually, that's one of the words in it. My mind crawls, wandering bleak, and things are bleak. And then it's this illness. There's medical imagery, and then goodbye, and then it releases, and you hear this beautiful Hammond organ.
vengeful. I believe I'm on the receiving. Bad luck. Can you help me get back to believing?
And then we get to this part, this kind of soft part. Vengeful. I believe I am on the receiving. Bad luck. Can you help me get back to believing?
Vengeful. I'll cling to the eyes of a mountain. Bad luck. Come open my eyes. Vengeful.
Really putting it in somebody else's hands, saying that I can't, maybe there was bad luck that this happened, but can something lift me out of this? But it's also maybe a letter to myself, asking myself to lift me out of it, because I truly believe that no one's coming to save us. Like, we have to do it ourselves. So I think that's a message of all these songs, if you take one from it.
So there's Skies of Elyria. So
Yeah.
you were talking about Elyria kind of briefly, but do you remember the song? Or?
Yep. Yes, Skies of Elyria and Afterlove are both really good. I sent Malachy some excerpts from the book that were from Tuca, the Tuca chapters, and I think he really encapsulated that feel of Elyria, where Tuca lives and where Julian lives, in those songs.
So that brings us to Afterlove, which is really about Tuca and Julian.
Love stuff.
Who am I?
Matt.
You're Joe. You're Joe. Oh,
No.
I'm Joe. I'm definitely Joe.
And about me and Connor, as most of these songs are. But so Tuca's on Elyria. Julian has to leave because he's kind of been summoned by this transmission from the captain. And so Tuca is calling out to Julian and, basically reaching out to him and wondering if he's going to ever come back.
Over the woods, along the woods end.
So starts off, sent me off to school with a tender goodbye. So Julian kind of acts as Tuca's father figure. So Tuca goes to school, and then all of a sudden Julian goes through the stars, and Tuca kind of knows that he's going to do that, and she kind of feels for him in some way. It then gets to this part though where it goes, "Brother, don't go away, don't leave me alone," and it's this stark reminder of like he's gone. And then to the chorus, "In the flash of your smile, the remnants of light, the way that you sang me to sleep every night." And that comes to my own life too, because when we were little, Connor and I used to stay up all night basically, and Connor would just tell me stories all night about like withies.
Okay. So withies, instead of playing cards like humans do, they get one of these like baby withies out and they just set them on the table. They go around in a circle like big withies, and they're just like, yeah! And then the next one goes, yeah! And then like next one, yeah! And like if whoever kills it wins. But like that sounds really brutal. It's actually not that brutal.
Just absolute nonsensical, but also very hilarious and fully whatever. Just would make me laugh basically all night long. And so that's where that line exactly comes from. At the end of that song, "Fly on back home, sweet Julie I.O." So at the end, it's beckoning this person, Julian and Connor, and to fly back home, and we can keep cutting down our great trees on Elyria. We can keep making music and doing our thing. Maybe then that brings me to Skies of Elyria, which is one of my favorites, probably my second favorite song on the album, behind Sunbeam Fortunata. And Skies of Elyria, I actually envisioned that as being from the perspective of Julian's father, which, as far as I know, isn't a character in the story. But it could also be interpreted as Julian as well. I'm not really sure, some of these songs I'm not really sure what the lore is, but the idea is there's this figure, father figure, who's leaving Elyria, and there's this dialogue again, back and forth. Maybe it's between Julia and Tuca, I haven't fully decided. So the chorus goes, when the ship blasts off tonight, I'll be back, just you wait and see. Through all these skies, I'll keep you in my heart.
I'll be back, just you wait and see. Through all these skies, I'll keep you in my heart.
You're blasting off out there. You don't know if you're going to be back. For me, not knowing if I was going to be alive, and be able to be around my family and friends. But then looking back and saying, I'm going to keep you in my heart, and there's going to be this connection that transcends space and time. And yeah, so again, highly recommend Skies of Elyria and Fortunata. Those are my two Malachy's picks. Count them. Hey guys, Malachy here. Just wanted to let you know, if you enjoyed this documentary and would like to support Captain Sunbeam, really the best way you can do that is to buy one of these official Songs of Orion CDs, which comes with all the original album artwork. On the inside, there's the compass, and then revealing this cosmic campfire scene if you've gotten to that point in the documentary. But hopefully this will provide you guys with a really immersive experience as you listen to this album and enjoy it. If you're interested, the link is in the description. We're also selling these amazing prints of the album artwork. This one happens to be the sunset version of the album cover. It's a 1 of 50 print. It's signed by the artist, and it comes in a bundle with the CD. You can also just get the CD on its own, or you can just get the print if that's your vibe. And like I said, there's a Taz Abalone version of the print. There's the Cosmic Campfire print. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and we hope to see you further along down the line on our journey.